At Buyers Volkswagen, we've been family-owned since 1897. Built on trust, driven by innovation, and now buying your next Volkswagen is easier than ever. Shop online, customize your deal, and finalize everything from home. Just stop by to pick up the keys.
Right now, drive home a new 2025 Volkswagen Atlas for 3.9% APR for up to 60 months.
The next generation shops online, and we're driving with them at columbusvw.com. Or visit us by the airport. Buyers Auto, driving the next generation of buyers.
See dealer for details. Offer ends 7/31/25.
Burnout is crazy. It almost feels like you're drowning in your own life. No matter how hard you try to keep your head above water, you just keep sinking deeper. Well, if you're experiencing that or have, you are not alone. Over 80% of people have experienced burnout in the last 4 years. And it's not just feeling tired, it's full-on, soul-crushing burnout. Let me tell you a story. A few years back, I was that person. I was working my ass off, barely sleeping, living on coffee and pure stubbornness, and also a lot of Adderall. And I thought I was killing it, but really, I was killing myself. One day, I found myself sitting in my car, outside of my office, ugly crying because I couldn't face another day, and that's when it hit me. I was not just tired, I was burnt the fluff out. Well, here's the thing. Burnout isn't just about work. It's about everything. It's about the bullshit we put up with daily, the crap we eat, the sleep we don't get, and the self-care that we keep putting off. And you know what really pisses me off? Our healthcare system. The same system that's supposed to help us is often just slapping a Band-Aid on a gushing wound. So you go in feeling like death warmed over, and what do you get? A prescription and a pat on the back. Here, take this pill and you'll be fine. But we're not fine, are we? We're a generation running on fumes, and popping pills isn't fixing the root of the problem. So I'm going to share with you another way. What if the key to beating burnout isn't in a bottle, but in the choices that we make every single day? Can anyone else feel their intuition saying, duh? Well, what if we could rewire our lives to work for us and not against us? In this episode, we're going to get real about burnout. We're talking about why it's not just you being lazy or weak, and we're going to call out the systems that are failing us. But most importantly, we're going to talk about how to dig ourselves out of this hole. Because let's face it, life is too short to spend it feeling like crap. So it's time to get your fire back, and I'm going to show you how. Our guest is Neha Sangwan. Neha is the founder of Intuitive Intelligence. She's a physician, engineer, author, speaker, and communication expert. How's that for a rap sheet? 3 key things we will learn are the 3 sinister phases of burnout and how to recognize the alarm bells before it's too late, how a simple object can tune you into the hidden messages your body is sending, and a powerful blueprint for reclaiming your energy and purpose. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. You guys, workplace stress is killing us. 61% of people are dealing with stress levels that are way beyond normal. So if you're feeling it, you are not alone. I used to think I could just push through everything, work harder, sleep less, pretend I had it all figured out, but that approach nearly broke me. I am all about following your joy. If that voice in your head is telling you to make a change, listen to it. Maybe you are ready to quit your job. Maybe you do need to flip your whole life upside down. But either way, you need support and tools to navigate it well. And that's where therapy comes in. Modern therapy teaches you how to set boundaries without feeling guilty, how to manage anxiety before it spirals, how to make big moves from a place of strength instead of desperation. And BetterHelp has over 30,000 therapists and has helped 5 million people worldwide. And you can talk to someone from your couch. No waiting rooms, no awkward scheduling. Therapy gives you the clarity on whether that voice telling you to make a change is your intuition or just the Sunday scaries. But either way, you deserve support. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/mindlove. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/mindlove. Let me ask you something. How much time did you spend last week thinking about what to eat? Planning meals, making grocery lists, wandering around the store like a lost tourist. I used to waste entire Sunday afternoons on this, and it was exhausting. Then I found Hungry Root. Hungry Root fills your cart with personalized picks and plans your week of meals, getting smarter with every order. They have over 15,000 recipes to choose from each week, and most are ready in 15 minutes or less. I'm actually headed to Michigan this week, and I had my Hungry Root order delivered there. So I already know that I have meals ready and plenty of snacks for the kids without scrambling to find a grocery store. It's just handled. And what I love most is their smart cart technology. It learns what I actually like and then recommends groceries, recipes, and supplements just for me. So no more buying spinach that rots in my fridge. They screen out over 200 additives and only source high quality ingredients. The time I've gotten back has just been life-changing. So take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/mindlove and use code MINDLOVE. That's hungryroot.com/mindlove, code MINDLOVE, to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/mindlove, code MINDLOVE.
We know that a net drain in your bank account, your relationships, and in your own physical energy and in anything in life over time is not sustainable. And so the question becomes, what are the series of circumstances where you end up pushing through your body rather than partnering with it? Pushing through your heart and soul, or draining your mind, or your relationships. And not partnering with it. At what point do you have your breaking point? And my hope is that we can start to give people tools where as soon as they start going from fully charged and the battery starts going down, that they recognize it and they know what to do to become fully charged again.
Turn up your frequency with Mind Love. Bite-sized brain hacks for seekers, dreamers, and doers. It's time to give your mind a little love with your host, Melissa Monti.
So what inspired your deep dive into burnout?
Lived experience 20 years ago. And I was a busy doctor in the hospital where I was getting all my importance from all the things I do for other people. And at some point had been trained into believing that all the things I told my patients to do, I was somehow immune from, such as sleeping and eating healthy food and following biology and all of that. But really a little bit of the bigger story is that when I was young, really young, this is what the last 20 years have taught me, that it did not start when I was a doctor. It started many years before that. So when I was really young, I'm a middle daughter of Indian immigrants who had an arranged marriage and came to the US. Didn't know each other. They definitely didn't know how they were going to commonly raise children, but they had the Indian culture in common. So my grandmother comes to take care of my older sister and I. We're like 18 months apart because family comes together as a village to take care of the kids. And it's Indian families think nothing of passing around children to the extended family. So when my grandfather called and said, I got a job at the United Nations in Africa, I'm going to be stationed there. Nani, my grandmother, I need you to come and take care of the social aspect of the UN. I don't know how it happened, but I'm 3 months old. Nani scoops me up, takes me with them. I spent 2 years in Africa until my older sister, who's now 3.5, and my mom come to pick me up. Now, you can imagine that I had no recollection of who my actual parents or family was. There was no FaceTime and social media so that I would know this is a sibling or whatever it is. So when they took me away from my grandparents, it was like bloody murder for a 2-year-old. So readjusting back into my family was pretty hard. And my older sister wasn't really keen on sharing love with my parents. She'd had it for 3.5 years on her own. And she didn't have a baby. She had a 2-year-old who thought she was an only child. So that's when the bullying began. So I'm broken. I'm very upset, devastated, crying for a month. She didn't want me there. And I'm starting to realize I'm not going to get anywhere by the crying. No one's going to take me back. So at that point, I now understand that I left my own body because it was too painful to feel. And I tuned into the outside world. I didn't understand really what I did to get sent away. Like, why was this my punishment? And I wasn't really wanted in the house from my sister. So I started becoming the ultimate people pleaser. I would scan any environment I was in, and I would give you whatever you needed. Because then maybe I wouldn't get sent away again. Maybe I could belong. Maybe I could find my grandparents and that connection again. My uncle, who lived with us, my mom's brother, younger brother, I call him my muku mama. I write about him in my book. He saw the bullying going on and stood up for me. And he's really my parents were always like, it's the only sister you have. Like, stop complaining. Kids always fight. Like, they didn't take it quite seriously. Maybe because I wasn't a good communicator, or maybe they were just like, too much. Like, I don't know. But my uncle saw me. So I got really close to him. And then he died when I was 10 in a plane crash. So this little girl learned again, don't get too close or you're going to get separated, right? But I became an even better people pleaser because now I didn't have the protection that I had and enjoyed for a few years. So I overhear my dad one day at 6 or 7 years old saying to a friend, just my luck. The second one was a girl too. All I wanted was a son who would be an engineer. I don't think I did it consciously, but ever since I can remember, I'm like, I'm good at math and science. I can be an engineer. My mom at dinner parties and things in the Indian community, like they don't really actually say to you, like, what would you like to be when you grow up? It's like this. Honey, are you going to be an engineer or a doctor? And you're like, oh, there's only two choices. So my mom told the story many times when I was sitting there of how her parents married her to my dad. That wasn't her choice. And told her she couldn't be a surgeon because what kind of a wife and mother would you be if you always had a pager on your hip and you were always being called to something else more important? So they wanted her to be a good wife and mother. So she gave up her calling to be a doctor, and she would say things like, wow, if one of my girls goes back to med school, I think I'll go back with you. And I was like, okay, a little harmony people pleaser that I was. Okay. Engineering isn't like exclusive, like they're not mutually exclusive. Okay, everybody, like I'll do both. Everybody can stop arguing, like everything's good. And I don't know exactly where I consciously decided all of that, but I now understand it started much younger. And I'm a much more intuitive, heartfelt, human connected being. But boy, I turned myself into a pretzel to become a scientific, practical engineer that ran a manufacturing line for Motorola and subsequently went into med school, became an internal medicine physician and a hospital physician for nearly a decade. In that hospital physician time is when one day I walked in and said to the nurse, hey, Nina, could you please get me 40 milliequivalents of IV potassium for the gentleman in 636? And she said, Dr. Sangwan, are you okay? And that was really my first indication I might not be. And I said, yeah, why? And she said, because that's the fourth time in under 5 minutes you've asked me the same question, and I've answered you every time. And that was my introduction to burnout.
Wow. That story, as somebody with a 1.5-year-old and a 3-year-old, my heart just like tore out. Mm. And I'm reflecting just parts of my own story, how such different circumstances can lead us to the same place. I had divorced parents, and it took me until really my early 30s to realize I was a people pleaser, because I was always a little bit rebellious against my parents. Not really, like I got great grades, but I think it was because they were divorced and I'd hear their I'd be the sounding board as an only child, like, well, your dad this, or your mom this, your mom actually. And I don't know if that's what caused it, but I do know that as a young teen, I didn't respect either parent very much. And so I just didn't, I thought I was smarter than them. I made my own choices, and I just thought I was really independent. And it took me until my early 30s to realize I was just people pleasing everybody else. Any social circle I got in, any person that I was dating, any boss that well, no, there was still an authority thing. I was still rebellious against authority, but the people pleasing was still there. And so it's just so interesting how it can get us from two different areas. And really, if you are living your life to fill other people's needs or fulfillment, you're going to get burnt out no matter how much work you're doing or not doing, because you're just living inauthentically. You're never filling your own cup. You're constantly filling everyone else's, hoping a little will spill over and land on you.
Yeah. Except you have a hole at the bottom of the cup that you keep filling. And so it's always empty. And I think that's just what's interesting about what you just said is when I go into corporations, organizations, systems, what I see is if somebody's struggling with their peers, they're either an only child and they didn't get the experience of peership. And so they're pleasing everybody. They want to belong because they didn't have that. So they really want it. Or there's a struggle that patterns a sibling. So for me, I will, because I got bullied as the younger sister, there are times with my peers that I feel the pull of like, don't you bully me? Like, don't do that. If someone's struggling with authority figures, I can always trace it back to their parents and their relationship with their parents. And so as a coach, an executive coach, when I go into companies, I know where to ask for where the blueprint came from, depending on what they're struggling with that they're asking me about.
Ooh, that's fascinating. So I have both of the things.
Very differently, right? You wanted a peer group, and you not only did you not have the sibling experience, so you are trying to make that in any way you can, but you also had to attach, detach, reattach, detach, reattach. So there's going to be a level of independence that you're going to need to have in order to be able to do all of that. Mm. And so that may show up later in relationships. There may be your own version of that, needing space, wanting togetherness, but being a little bit, finding yourself conflicted sometimes about that. And so it's people say like, lying dogs lie. Like when you ask me about burnout, I think the easy answer is, listen, I was a busy doctor. I was in school until I was 31 and they worked us too hard and we did 36-hour shifts and I pushed through it and here I go, I burned out. But the story always starts much earlier. But most people don't want to go back because they think they're just digging up old things. But what I ask people is, whenever they come to me asking for my help, I'll ask leaders this, I'll ask CEOs this. Are you asking me to babysit your teams? Because I'm going to be as engaged as you are. If you're in every session, I'll be in every session. If you're going to leave and want me to babysit what's going on, I'll drive by too. I'll check it out. But it's like that about solving any issue that people are struggling with. I think of it like on 3 levels. I say to people, how would you like me to help you? Would you like me to help you avert a crisis? Would you like me to help you figure out how to stay in the same relationship, same job, same situation, but give you some coping skills so you're like doggy paddle, you can stay a little bit longer, give you the capacity so you can stay afloat? Or third, are you ready to do a deep dive, and would you like to get to the root cause and heal this? And boy, is that a question they are what? Did you just, what? Because I need to know as your doctor, as your coach, as your friend. On what level would you like me to engage in? Like, how would you like me to meet you? Do you want me to just listen? Would that be helpful? So I think a lot of people just dive in assuming that they know what somebody else needs. And I'm not sure that they do.
At Audi Columbus, luxury meets convenience. Family owned since 1897, we've built our reputation on trust, transparency, and innovation. Browse our selection online and complete your purchase from home. Then simply stop by to pick up your keys.
Drive home a new 2025 Audi Q6 e-tron for $569 for 36 months with $4,535 down.
The next generation shops online. Experience the future with us at AudiColumbus.com. Buyers Auto, driving the next generation of buyers.
See dealer for details. Offer ends 7/30/25.
That just reminds me of like marketing 101. So often when you're helping people don't know the real thing that they need help with. And a lot of people think they're looking for some sort of easy button when really that doesn't exist. And even if they found something that works quickly and efficiently, it's usually temporary and the same problem will keep popping up over and over again. And that's within corporations, that's within your own soul, that's within relationship dynamics.
Yeah. I mean, like, people date the same person with a different name so many times, and they think it's a completely different relationship. They have the same boss over and over again. And because the name is different, they tell the story like it's brand new, right? And the pattern, whatever you don't heal, whatever you don't have the time to heal, will be revealed again and again. And until like that day when I was literally a bullet train going right into a brick wall. Something will stop you. I'm just so glad with Burnout that nurse had the courage to say to me, Dr. Sangwan, are you okay? Instead of not say anything and then go talk to the nurses about it. Like, is everything okay with Dr. Sangwan? Like, I hope she's okay. No, she said it to my face. And even though it shocked me, then I went to a psychiatrist colleague because I didn't know what was going on. I'm the one you come to when it's time to get stress leave. How did I not learn about this in medical school? How did I not know about it when it was happening to me? And what I realized was after, in my book, I actually, in the second chapter, I basically give the 5 sessions behind the scenes between 2 doctors, a psychiatrist and me, of how I learned what burnout is and how shocked I was that the tools I had as a traditional doctor were to do the first option I just told you about, which is avert a crisis. So I would give you, if someone is stressed and goes to get help at their EAP, the Employee Assistance Program, they will send you to me. I have a couple tools. One is I can write you, I have the power of the pen to write you for paid time off. The second power of the pen I have is to give you some cocktail of medications for antidepressant, anti-anxiety, or sleep medication, depending on the context that you show up with to me. But 10 days, a month, 3 months later, I send you back in the ring for round 2 with no new skills of how to do this differently or what went wrong in the first place. And when people say, why are healthcare costs spiraling 20% a year, 18 to 20% a year? This costs U.S. businesses alone more than $300 billion a year. We don't have an answer for it. And I will tell you, it took me the last 20 years to commit to myself that I was going to heal myself from this. And I'm not fully healed. I will always have a tendency to excellence and all or none and dropping things for me to take care of the world. But here's the thing. I now know the signals, the early symptoms. I know. So when I fall off the wagon, which I did when I launched my Burnout book, ironically, I get back on the horse pretty darn quick. And so what I want people to know is this isn't like you didn't get here overnight. You're not going to get out of it overnight. But there is a way that in the last 20 years, I figured out how to figure out where you go from burned out to fully charged by doing like a quick assessment of whether you have a net gain or a net drain on a physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual level. And the reason it was so complicated for me to fill in that gap of when a doctor gives you time off and meds to you going back to work and having an idea of what happened and being able to change it is because I saw all these thousands of people and I started to see the patterns. They all come like as uniquely as their fingerprint. They would come, with a new, this person has physical drain and they avoid their emotions. Oh, this person avoids conflict in relationships and they don't feel purpose. Oh, this person runs anxiety and has like self-deprecation and imposter syndrome. That's draining their energy. And so I had to figure out, we know that a net drain in your bank account, in your relationships, and in your own physical energy and anything in life over time is not sustainable. And so the question becomes, what are the series of circumstances where you end up pushing through your body rather than partnering with it? Pushing through your heart and soul, or draining your mind, or your relationships, and not partnering with it. At what point do you have your breaking point? And my hope is that we can start to give people tools where as soon as they start going from fully charged and the battery starts going down, that they recognize it and they know what to do to become fully charged again.
This is so fascinating because I think people assume they know more about burnout than they actually do. It's a word that comes with a lot of visual, and people fill in the blanks of what they don't know. Like, I think if I were just to make an assumption, it would be like, oh, you're overworking and now you're too tired. And so it makes sense. Oh, maybe some meds for a little bit and I just need a rest and then I'll go back. But what you're saying is that it comes from so many things. Now my head is even turning about how the way you were raised or your circumstances as a child even comes into play. You pinpointed me perfectly of like wanting closeness and wanting space and not really knowing what I want or need. That was really difficult for me in all of my first relationships, because when I didn't have the closeness, I didn't feel loved. And when I did have the closeness, I felt tapped out. I felt smothered. And so it was like, I would be like picking fights. It took me a lot to get to a place where, thankfully my husband and I just have great communication. He knows my little patterns. He can tell and he'll just leave me be when I need it. But I went through a lot of years of burning bridges unnecessarily. And I'm wondering if that's even related, of like, if I could feel something like petering out, or I'd leave a job or whatever it is, it's like I had to convince myself that that was so necessary. So I would do something to just like tether that cord. And so I'm wondering, number one, is that related? Number two, because I know it has definitely just my feelings of all of this in relationships have drained my energy more than a lot of other parts of my life. And so it's just something I've had to have a lot of care in my more mature years, but still probably plenty of wounds there. So I guess I'm curious, what are some of the subtle signs of burnout? That isn't just I've worked too much and now I need a rest. How can people identify that, maybe it's not that I am not meant for success, or maybe it's not that I had too many kids. Maybe it's this. Like, what are those subtle signs that they might not be seeing is connected to this?
Great. I'm going to answer that in a minute because I have some thoughts on the first part of your question. I don't know because I just met you, but here's my quick hit, like my intuitive hit on it. And you can tell me if it resonates or it doesn't. Your parents had the choice to burn the bridge for each other. You didn't have that choice. There came a time where you got to exert yourself. And so you did. You were the one who had to do the dance in the middle when other people's toxicity or inability to repair a relationship, do their work, I don't know what it was. But whatever it was, it had a huge impact on you. And there was, my guess in this is there was some working out for you finally getting the choice. Does that make sense?
Given that my eyes are welling up, it usually means you hit something.
Yeah, the secrets, the cave we fear to enter holds the treasure that we seek. And your courage in even just saying it and being curious about it is like the courage that allows the curiosity, the courage to have that curiosity, the courage to be vulnerable where you don't know where it's going, to feel your eyes well up, to acknowledge it. I hope, like, everybody listening, watching, like, that is the key to healing. And your awareness around it, you can't heal from it until you have this awareness, until you notice if it resonates. And so I just want to say, like, thank you for being a role model. Thank you for having that courage to be curious, because the curiosity builds the invisible bridges within you. And I always say, like, I'm a different kind of engineer. I'm not the one that builds the physical bridges out in the world. I'm the one who builds the invisible bridges within us and between us. And it felt like that was like one of those moments where that bridge between your head and your heart, like, came clear. So
I just have to add, my husband and I just talk a lot. So any topic comes up, but we were recently talking about engineers, and he was like, do you know any women engineers? And I was like, no, not personally. And so it's just sort of a beautiful thing to see how you have merged that engineer mindset of really discovering, analyzing, and brought your female intuition into that. I just think it's so inspiring. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for being open. So when you asked me, how do people know about burnout? So let's just start with the definition. The definition of burnout is a triad. It's defined as exhaustion, physical, mental, emotional exhaustion. When that goes on for a while, because, like, you aren't fine Monday and then burned out Friday. I'm really trying to drill home. This happens over months, years, decades, a lifetime. These are behaviors and coping mechanisms and patterns. Your biology is too sophisticated. Your blood pressure adjusts, your heart rate adjusts. I mean, all these things, Mother Nature is, like, phenomenal. And then we as humans have this overdeveloped brain that says, oh, this is going to be a stressful day. Make it a double today as you're walking in, getting your coffee, right? So we have all these, oh, can I have a glass of wine or 3 to take the edge off of work? Oh, I think I'm just going to veg and scroll through social media. Oh, I'm going to call and chat to somebody else and tell them about what just happened so I don't have to feel the discomfort from the meeting I was just in. So we have all these ways that we adjust, okay? So the physical, mental, emotional exhaustion has been going on for some time. The second pillar of the triad, like, subtly, kind of like an undercurrent on the beach. You can't see it, but you can feel it. There's like an undertow, which is cynicism, starts creeping in. So your own thoughts, you're already exhausted. Your own thoughts start to say things like, you start to hear things like, it doesn't matter how hard you work. You're not going to be able to change healthcare. It doesn't matter how many patients you try to help. The next one is going to not get the meds they need, or whatever it is. So I would start having thoughts that no matter how hard I'm trying and how hard I'm working, the cynicism, like, not gonna happen. Now you're in trouble when that happens, because now you're exhausted and you're undermining and undercutting your own self. And the last part of the triad is ineffectiveness, of which I gave you a stellar example. I get an A for the ineffectiveness, like literally hitting a brick wall before I noticed any of the symptoms. So some way that ineffectiveness might show up for other people is they start missing deadlines. it's not like them. They are getting in late to work. Like there's things that start not becoming them, and that can be ineffective, right? But the triad here is exhaustion, cynicism, and ineffectiveness. Something really important to know about cynicism is depersonalization starts happening. It's like you start to become cynical. You don't think things are making a difference. And so you, even though you might be lonely or want to be with other people, you kind of depersonalize and distance yourself from other people because you just don't have the energy to be social. It's not that you don't want it or need it. It might be exactly what you need, but you don't have the energy to be social. So you're on the couch, missing things that would probably give you energy because you don't have the energy to get ready and do it. So it's like this funky, intertwined experience. And here's the kicker. There's 3 phases that it goes through, and this is going to bring everything together. The first phase is the alarm phase. It's like you jumped on a treadmill that's going like a little too fast. It's that moment when you feel overwhelmed because something just up-leveled in your world, another responsibility, something unexpected, whatever it is. You're now on a level going faster than you know what to do with. Some people have been feeling this with AI. Like it's like the one, they're like, what? Like, no, like, I are you kidding? So then if you don't get off that treadmill that's going too fast, but instead you adjust yourself to the faster pace and sometimes even turn the speed up 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, you just start making that your new normal. After a while, this alarm phase turns into something called chronic adaptation. The chronic adaptation phase is your biology has been adjusting. Maybe you're living on less sleep. I don't know what it is, but like you're like, yeah, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or I'll sleep on the weekends. Now you're getting out of coping mechanisms. Like you needed 2 cups of coffee, now you're at 3. You used to run 2 miles, now you need 5 to get to your de-stress level. Here's the kicker in chronic adaptation. You go on vacation and you come back and you're still not rested. The weekends aren't enough to rest. You go away for 7 days. It takes you 3 days to just unwind. You get back and you're like, not Monday again. Like, no way. So now your rest and your time off isn't enough. And this is how I know people are heading into exhaustion. They start to say, I don't care. I don't care anymore. Apathy. When you start not caring, I know we're heading into the ineffectiveness, the exhaustion phase. And that's the slippery slope. So one more thing will happen. It might even be a small thing. And you'll be like, wait, why? Why did that tip me over? Like I've done much more complicated things than that. No. That was just like the last straw, right? That tipped it all over, but it's been going on for a long time. And then you go sliding down the slippery slope of burnout to ineffectiveness.
How common is this? Because it seems like so many people deal with the same thing. I'm thinking of people that are popping up in my head where I can just see it from the outside and we've never talked about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, thank God the psychiatrist, you're not even going to believe this. I mean, I literally was looking at the nurse like, are you kidding? I'm like running this hospital. I got like 18 patients. I'm like, are you kidding? When I went to the psychiatrist, an hour later, I said to him, I thought I was just like sidelining a consult of a colleague, and then I would go back to work. And so I said to him, he said, so Neha, I'm going to write you 2 prescriptions. One's going to be for Prozac, and another one's going to be for time off. And I was like, well, I have 16 more patients to see, so I'm going to like cruise back in there, take care of them. And he looked at me and he goes, so those patients will be seen and it won't be by you. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I still didn't get it, right? Like, and then he's like, he's giving me Prozac, and something I had prescribed to people, you know, in my decade as a hospitalist. And I remember standing in line, like how did I in 1 hour go from like running transfers for the hospital, 18 hospitalized patients, to like standing in line for medication with a slip of time off, and I'm driving home. And I remember looking at the medication and thinking, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm pretty sure it's not a Prozac deficiency. So I go home and this is the problem with a doctor, like being your patient. Like I start self-managing. It's like what I do, right? So I start getting all these, oh my gosh, like I know the side effects. Oh my God, someone's going to have to wean me off. Oh my God, it's going to change my brain chemistry. Oh my God. Like I start going to pharmacology class, and like all these side effects that I've memorized are like flashing before, kind of like on the drug commercials and TV, right? They're like telling you, and this might cause dizziness, a shortness of breath and a fear of death, or, whatever they say. And we're all like watching the happy ad. Like that's what was happening. So I put it in the top drawer. I go back and I'm like, every week I'm seeing my psychiatrist. It was pure torture for me to be getting paid and not being able to work. Working was how I stopped myself from feeling. So when you stop my world and I can't do, now I have to feel. So it was like awful. I would have much rather been working. 5th session, I walk in and I say to him, oh my God, my throat constriction relaxed and I slept last night. Oh my God. And he says, you look great. 5 weeks in, Prozac is right on time. And I'm like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I didn't start taking the medication because I wanted to see if our sessions would do the trick. And I was afraid of the side effect. Like it didn't even dawn on me to tell him. Like I was like self-managing myself, doing my thing, showing up for all my meetings, like whatever. And he said something that changed my life that day. He said, well, Neha, I can't bill as a psychiatrist for you unless you're on medication. Insurance won't pay me. So would you like to go on medications, or would you like to see another provider? And I was so confused. I was like, wait, I just told you I'm getting better. You mean I can't see you? And that was the day that I decided, like, something is so wrong here in the system that we're not listening to the patients. We're following some of these, structures that aren't in alignment with what's happening. And I get that insurance companies have to create frameworks and structures, and I get it. And we're missing the mark here. Like we're missing the mark. And so that's when I committed myself to figuring out what this thing was. And then I am someday going to write a book that is going to help other people with the time between, and I left that provider because there's no way I was going on medications when I was starting to feel better. And I started the 20-year journey of how do I figure out what this is, what the medical system stays at averting a crisis when I want to go to not just staying afloat, but healing the root cause. And that's the engineer in me, and that's the executive coach in me that figured out what was happening at the intersection of disciplines nobody understood go together.
Yeah, any man who insists that I'm medicated to keep our relationship going is immediately immediately out.
Any human, honestly, it's like, wait, are you treating me, or are you treating like the billing system here, right? And I think that was a huge wake-up call for me. It was like I just knew that like the system was really trying to help, but it just didn't know how. And it was aligned with things that were not aligned with me.
Every time I think I'm not going to go down a corrupt medical industry rabbit hole on an episode, here we are. Well, to me, it's like, I think there's a lot of individual people that want to help, but the system itself is designed to profit itself.
Well, let's kind of take a step back, because I am part of the traditional medical system, right? And when you're a part of something, I think it's really important to say what it's good for And I think the part of it is, yes, I think people have taken over this system that didn't go into it for the reasons I went into it. And many, many, many of my colleagues went into it. But I also think we have a society that wants a quick fix, shows up in my office and doesn't want to do the work, wants me to fix it, and wants a prescription because make it go away. Don't make me change what I'm eating. Just make it so I can eat the stuff I eat, but stop the acid from keeping me up at night. Just tell me how to make the headache go away, but don't make me face the anger of my partner. I want to stay in this relationship. So it's not just the medical, I wish it was that simple, but my 20 years in this has really taught me that we are in something I call triple vision: me, we, world. So any difficult, complex issue that I want to solve, the divisiveness of our world, I wrote a book called Talk RX about how to lean into healthy conflict. Even that was something I needed to say, where are we conflicted inside of us that's showing up between us that is dividing our world? So it's the same thing with burnout. It's where have we started not listening to ourselves and draining ourselves? Where do we twist ourselves into a pretzel with each other, say yes to companies and cultures and environments that are toxic for us because we think we have to, for the money, for the location, for the prestige, for the name, for whatever it is? We trade ourselves for this thing outside of us. And then we wonder why we never find happiness, peace, all the things we're looking for. So in the medical world, what I want people listening to know is the medical system, the traditional medical system, is awesome for diagnostics. They have scans that can look inside you and no one has to open you up. They can do blood work with a little stick. They can do ultrasounds and not even be invasive. We can get incredible amounts of information, x-rays and all sorts of things. They are phenomenal in a crisis. They rock. We are so glad they're there when we get in a car crash and break our limbs, need surgery immediately, have COVID and need to be on a ventilator and we can't breathe and they give us oxygen. We love them. But when you have something chronic, when you are struggling with chronic disease and you keep using a short-term crisis management over and over again, and you start calling that a long-term solution, you're not going to be satisfied. It's that thing I talked about in the beginning when I said, do you want me to help you avert a crisis? Because I'll give you a shot of insulin. I'll give you I'll give you the thing that'll take care of it. I'll give you the medication for your headache. Your headache is not an Advil deficiency. It can be many things. It might be dehydration. It might be anger suppressed. It might be you didn't sleep last night. It might be a hangover. I don't know what it is. But it is not an Advil deficiency. I guarantee you that. So we need the fix to get us through the meeting, get us through the event, get us through over the deadline. And we need to honor that we are a society that wants that. The question becomes, where are you? Are we averting a crisis? Are we keeping you afloat? Are we solving the problem? When something's chronic, you want to go to a functional medicine doctor. You want to go to a naturopath. You want to start seeking healing that connects your body, not just something wrong with your skin, go to a dermatologist. Oh, something wrong with your heart, go to a cardiologist. Oh, you can't breathe, go to a pulmonologist. We can't divide the body into body parts and act like they're not connected. In a crisis, you can. Not really, but more so. Okay. I think we are a society that doesn't understand when to go to who. We want a quick fix. We don't even understand what we want, but we want you to fix it and make it better fast. And don't make me change too much. So you see how it's me, we, world? It's there's all these things that match up for us to get a crisis care expensive system that does short-term solutions. And we want that thing. We want the hit, right? Make it go away. Make the symptoms go away. That's what medication does. When you take steroids, think about this. When you can't breathe and you're an asthmatic, you inhale, well, that's not a short-term thing, that's albuterol, but like, let's just say, if I want inflammation to go down in your lungs, I'll have you take some inhaled steroids, and over time, it'll suppress the inflammation. If you have a rash on your skin, I'll give you some steroid cream, which will block your immune system's function, so the rash goes away. If you have pain and inflammation in a joint, I'll do an injection of steroids, which blocks your immune function and makes the swelling go down. Stopping your own body's alarm system is a short-term solution that can get you through a crisis. But why did you get inflamed in the first place is the real question. So what I want people to do is start to see these drugs and experiences as a short-term bridge. Even antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication and all of these things, like, see it as a bridge, but also ask yourself, how am I going to get to the root cause in parallel while I have this bridge that's going to help me through the crisis? So it's a yes and. It's not an or. We love all of these options. It serves us, but we got to know what we use for what.
And as with anything, that the deeper cause starts at so many levels, like even the idea of why are we a society that likes such a quick fix? Do other cultures exist that don't immediately jump to the quick fix, that do look at things more holistically? Asking those types of questions can point us in directions of how to heal society as a whole, so we start looking inward a little bit more. And on that note, with that individual root cause, it's kind of like what we talked about, the root of burnout in general. And one of the things that you mentioned was emotional suppression, how that can just build up over time. And so then you just think it's your job, but really it's this thing that happened to you when you were 17 that you've been holding on to that's never been healed and you haven't felt. How can someone begin to recognize when they're suppressing their emotions in favor of logical thinking, especially in high stress environments?
All right, I'm going to do what I did last time. I'm going to set that right here and I'm going to come back to it. But I'm going to answer your first part of the question first.
I got to stop these two-parters, huh?
Yeah, it's good. No, it's good stuff. You're an amazing, like, you pick up very quickly and you really go deep in the question. Let me see if I can step back and just try and simplify how we got here. We are a society that values faster is better and doing more with less. We think more is just better. We think faster is better. And so we sometimes think profit over people. We think we can use people. We've lost those invisible bridges within us and between us. We think success is us making money and our stock prices next quarter. We think one person having an enormous amount of wealth and other people not being able to feed themselves is okay. But that's how far we've disconnected from ourselves and each other. In a world moving this fast, so collectively we use our brains to speed up the external world. That's how people make money in the world. How do you communicate faster? How do we get our cars to go faster? How do we fly in planes? How does everything go fast? We used to fax things. Now it's like instant. Everything's instant. Now we got AI. Let's do it even faster than humans can do it, right? Everything's about faster, faster, faster. We have all come together to co-create our external world that now moves faster than our biology can actually handle. So we together have co-created a world and never considered the beings that live in it. So we're going to go faster and faster, but I don't think burnout's getting any smaller. In fact, I think the chasm is going to get bigger and bigger because nature, that's why we're the only species that intentionally destroys our own habitat. There is no other species on the planet that knows they're ruining the trees and climate and ocean and plastic. No one does this, just us, because we're so sure that faster is better. Okay. More money is better.
And I think we think our habitat is a living room and we forgot about the trees.
It's not that
Why do we need a river?
Yeah. Like when we breathe out, the trees breathe in. When the trees breathe out, we breathe in. And we've forgotten about seasons and like rest and rejuvenation and exertion and all these things. We think like sleep is optional. So in order to function in a world moving this quickly, in order to do this, we've had to shut off the signals of our body. So heart racing, stomach turning, I'll take caffeine, I'm dragging, I'm heavy, no problem. I have all these things I can take from outside to stimulate energy bar drinks, all this, okay? We've silenced our heart. It might want to, yeah, you know what? That's not going to make money. Can't do that. Our soul, what our soul wants us to do, our creative expression, now it's all in the name of, can it make us money? Can it make a living? So we've silenced these other pieces of us and we've focused on the mind to speed things up. Now, why would any kind of a being silence all the inputs coming from their heart, their soul, their body? Because there's something bigger that we want, which is to belong. And belonging is in our DNA. And if we have all agreed that this is the definition of success, we want the next car, the bigger house, the IPO, the money, we keep driving forward as if this is the thing. And I just want the people listening here to know that like, wake up, burnout is not a failure. I thought it was the biggest failure of my life. I was so humiliated. Burnout is a wake-up call that brings into complete clarity your priorities and what matters. It's a wake-up call to your truest life. It's when you've exhausted all the coping mechanisms and you can actually, if you do reflection, realize the BS that the world is feeding you. Because our biologies don't actually work in the system we've created, even if we desperately want to belong. And so how are you going to stop turning yourself into a pretzel every room that you go into to try and fit and contort to what other people want you to be? And then when they like you, the catch-22 is it's not even you. It's what they want you to be. So you don't win either way. So you might as well figure out who you are and to get to be the same person in every room you go to. Some people are going to like you, some people aren't. But you like you. So at least you get to be aligned and you're never really alone because you're with you and you're aligned and you know who you are. And then your husband who sees you and says, honey, sometimes you need your alone time and that's cool. And sometimes we can be together and that's cool. And the two of you figure out how to do that come together, break apart that you did when you were little. And it's like a dance that you start to do together, not against each other. And all of a sudden you're like, I'll make babies with you. Like, yeah, you're the one because you're helping me heal that thing. And then together, if we keep healing our thing, the kids won't have to experience what I experienced. And so, yeah, like I just got this emotional moment where it's like, your kids are depending on you to heal you so that they get to take the baton of learning for the next lap, but they don't have to go back to learn what you didn't learn. And so part of what you do here, I can feel the energy of your, willingness to go deep, your willingness to speak about what's true. And I just have so much gratitude for these kids that have the awareness of parents that are willing to do the work. So thank you.
Having children was the biggest catalyst of growth from my whole life. And what I didn't realize is I've been on a healing journey for quite a long time. But when it shifted from this place of being about me to being about them, it allowed me to open up to it actually being about healing as a whole, like the whole world, because I could see the ripple effects that every single thing that we do has. And I want to bring it back to what you said about that burnout feeling of like nothing I do really matters. And I think so many people, I grew up in that mindset, and it wasn't, I don't know if it was even from a place of burnout, but I didn't grow up in an environment seeing people living a passionate life. And so that's been such a key for me, is reconnecting to that, to find my healing, showing my children another way. But I know that that feeling of like nothing really matters. And now I know how powerful it is, even just saying something to one person. I can think of a conversation I had when I was 22 with somebody in almost passing that completely changed the direction of my life, and then led to me sharing things with friends that changed their lives, starting a podcast. And I'm not saying everybody's way is to have that type of change where they're reaching thousands of people at once. But I will say that what you might see as only affecting yourself does have the power to change thousands of people's lives. You never know who you're influencing just by being in a different way than what they've seen before. And so I love leaving listeners with one action item to really bring this into their lives. If they're feeling the burnout, or if they're seeing their spouse or whatever, what is one thing they can do or think about this week to start leading themselves or someone else in a new direction?
I'm looking to see if I have my little stone. I do. Give me a second. I'm gonna show them this. Oh, so I just grabbed a little stone. It's something I give people. So I'm gonna start by saying, just bring to mind like a sacred exchange, because I feel like that's something we just did here. Okay. There's like different levels of the relationships you have in your life. There's broken, like someone's not with you anymore. They're distant, they're non-existent, whatever it is. There's dysfunctional, people who are with you, but they're not for you. There's transactional, people that are with you and they're for themselves. If they're not getting something concrete out of this, they're not there anymore. Transactional. And then there's relational. There's people who are with you and they're for you. And then there's sacred exchanges. And that's what this represents to me. It's someone who you may know really well. It's someone who you may not know. It might be a stranger who gives you a smile when you need it, or a hand, or gives you $5 when you're down, or I don't know what it is. You may know them, you may not know them. But what I think to myself is, like, we all have an opportunity. There's something about your children giving you, like, opening your heart to humanity, to something so much bigger than you, that they came through you, but they are not you, right? Like, there's this thing, like, it's like Khalil Gibran says, like, on children. It's this beautiful, beautiful poem. But it's like, what I want people to take away practically is the first step in a world that is moving and spinning so fast. By the way, I just saw Inside Out 2, which is a phenomenal movie by Pixar. But one of the characters is anxiety, like going crazy. The world's spinning out of control. You got to slow down to speed up in your exchanges with people. You got to be present. You got to be able to look up. You got to be present for the moment that there's a sacred exchange. But most importantly, you have to be able to, I take something from the outside world and I hold on to it. If you don't know how the unique language of your own body is speaking to you, you're going to miss all the signals and be like me, where you burn out and you didn't even know it was coming. You missed all the signals. Step one is take something from your outside world that fits comfortably in your hand, if you are really good at managing the outside world. And when emotions shift in a relationship, when you're sitting on a meeting, when you're in an exchange, if you can't feel how your throat constricts, your stomach turns, your heart races, if you're not aware of that, at least know that you can feel this in your hand. It can be a lipstick case, an AirPod case. I don't care what it is, just something that fits comfortably. And start tuning into what I call your own body map. What's the unique way that your body tells you you're moving out of your comfort zone? You're going to a place that might be uncomfortable, because this leads me to that emotion. No one's going to feel the uncomfortable emotions until they know what to do with it. And mine is throat constriction and stomach turning. Do you know what happens for your body when you move out of your comfort zone? Because it'll be different than mine.
Yeah, I feel it right in my solar plexus. It's like a tightening. It's
Okay, here's the tightening, like a constriction. Okay. Everybody's is different. So I can't know yours. And if you don't know yours, we can't help you because there's no early language, signs, clues, right? So I would say start tuning in to you. Just hold this on a call, whatever. And if someone says something and it surprises you or you feel an emotional change, things start heating up, say, oh, I can feel this in my hand. After about 3 or 4 times, you're going to go, oh, my back is a little tight. Oh, wow, I didn't feel that thing in my stomach. Oh, wow. And I think that's where you start. Because until we bring people back from solely focusing on the external world and running and trying to catch up, they don't have a chance to pick up the signals, the clues, to make sense of what's happening until they, and it's chapter 4 in my book. It's called Deciphering the Unique Language of Your Body. And it's a body map. And I would be happy to give them a burnout assessment tool that I gave when I was on tour for my book. I'll give you the link for that. And if they are interested, they can do their own burnout assessment. And I have me on 6 videos, short videos, taking them through it, their body map and how it works. In 15, 20 minutes, they can figure out where they have a net gain or a net drain of energy. So I'd say those 2 things. Pay attention to what kinds of relationships you're in. 3 things. And pay attention to the sacred exchange. Get if something fits really nicely in your hand, and take the burnout assessment quiz and figure out where you're having a net drain and a net gain and drain of energy, so you know where to focus.
Well, I feel like we could have done a 4-part series on this topic. So for listeners that want to learn more, that want to cover all of the things we didn't even have a chance to touch on, and find your book, Powered by Me, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
So nehasangwan.com, or my company's name is intuitiveintelligenceinc.com. You're going to converge in pretty much the same place. The other thing I'd say is if you know that you avoid conflict and difficult emotions, I'll show them real quick. This is my first book called Talk RX, which is a different kind of prescription from a doctor. And then this is Powered by Me, my little babies. I don't have babies like you have a 1.5-year-old and a 3-year-old. I have book babies. And one day when I wrapped these up in a baby blanket and gave them to my Indian parents who wanted grandchildren, let me just say they were less than impressed. I said, here's your grandbook babies. They were not having it. So, but they are my gift to the world. So, I look forward to connecting, and any questions people have on social and things. I'm DOCTORNEHA at Dr. Neha.
All the links for this episode are at mindlove.com/366. So your challenge this week is multi-layered, if you will. So you can take whichever layer feels right for you. But I think the most important part that Neha was talking about is to really get in tune with your body's language. What happens within your body when you're feeling uncomfortable, when you move outside of your comfort zone? This becomes a really amazing way to identify what relationships are good for you and are not. This took me way too long to realize. To sum hers up, there are broken relationships, people who are no longer in your life for whatever reason, dysfunctional relationships, people that are around but not really good for you, transactional, these people are here for what they can get out of it, relational relationships, the people who are really here for you with no strings attached, and sacred exchanges, the moments that stick with you. They can come from anyone, a close friend, even a stranger. It's a meaningful moment of connection that leaves you better than you were before. Can I tell you a quick story about a sacred exchange that has always stuck with me? When I was in high school, I was in church choir, and we took our show on the road, per se, and we would perform at churches and at homeless shelters. And then different people from local churches would sign up to take some of us kids to stay at their house. I feel like this wouldn't be allowed nowadays, but it was a lot of fun back then. Anyways, this was actually a pretty traumatic trip for me. My sexual assault became public and spread around this group like wildfire, only it wasn't assault in the way that it was told. It was just me being sexually active. And so I was sort of shunned by the church. And I can feel it in this group of people, like I was suddenly an outsider and people were talking about me and I wasn't getting the parts that I got before, and it was a whole thing. So I was feeling very alone. I remember calling my mom on a ferry in Canada, just asking if there's any way I could fly home because I felt so uncomfortable. Well, that evening we performed at a homeless shelter and I was just kind of somber, but I always brought my A game to those performances. I'd be on stage, smiling as big as I can and really putting my all into it, making eye contact with people in the audience. Well, apparently my eye contact mattered to someone, and when they were calling up the homeless attendees to see who got a bed that night, this one man was called, and before he went to get his little ticket to let him into his room, he walked up to me and gave me a bracelet that he had. And he handed it to me and he said, "No one has looked at me in the eyes like that in a long time, and your smile made my day." And I kept that bracelet for a long time. I'm actually sad that I lost it at some point in a move in college or whatever, but that is a moment that will sit with me forever. And it feels like that homeless man was an angel that was sent to me in that moment of need, feeling so alone, feeling disconnected from, or I should say even confused about God and my place in the world and my worth as a human. And so that's just such a reminder to me that we can be those people for each other. I was that person to him. He had probably been dismissed for years and years. People not really looking at him like he's a human, not wanting to make an eye contact so they don't feel guilt not giving or whatever goes through our human minds. And for me, I needed to know that someone saw me, not something that happened, not their interpretation of it. Even if I was just sexually active, the way that I felt in that group of people was so isolated and alone, and that man pulled me out of it. And I stayed with the rest of it, still had fun, did send me on a new life path, but it's all for the best. So just a reminder, make eye contact, smile at people, be present, because you can't really have a sacred exchange without that presence. So I would love to know what your sacred exchanges have been. What are moments that have stuck with you, whether from a stranger, a friend, family member? Please reach out to me on Instagram. I would love to share these on my story. And that's all for today. So thanks for giving your mind a little love today, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning into Your Higher Frequency with Mind Love. Head to mindlove.com for a free gift to keep your vibes up until next week.